Welcome back to another 2 video, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at a hunter build that's a little bit different than some of the builds that you've been seeing recently, since today we're going to be taking a look at a Stasis build. Early this season, Frost Armor got a big buff, increasing the amount of damage resistance that you get per stack, giving you more resistance and survival in some endgame content. So today we're going to be pairing it with a very forgotten exotic that most of you guys probably haven't thought about in a while. Those two make a killer combination that constantly frees, slows, and also gives you back tons of ability energy, so we're also going to be spamming both our grenades and our melees. So if you're a big fan of Stasis, you're definitely really going to enjoy this build. And if you do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already for some more builds. As well as follow me on Twitch, we'll be streaming a lot over there, so I'd love to see you stop by. So now let's get into it, and let's start by taking a look at exotics, since those are the best parts and the most important parts of the build. For the exotic today, we're going to be using the Mask of Fealty. This thing is fantastic when it comes to like any builds that freeze or slow enemies. It's got a lot of withering blades to make stasis crystals whenever they hit something, and also it gives us back some melee energy every time our withering blades hit something, while at the same time allowing our withering blades to shatter crystals or frozen targets and release more withering blades. Basically, you freeze enemies, you throw a withering blade in there, and then you see everything explode. Stasis crystals, frozen enemies, while at the same time hitting a bunch of other things with just a ton of withering blades and get a bunch of melee energy back. This works really well into the build since we're going to be freezing tons of targets, and we're also going to be making lots of stasis crystals with our grenades. And since we're going to be able to spam abilities, it just means that we can always spam some of these and just make things blow up even more. Now for the exotic weapon that we're pairing this up with is going to be the Ager Scepter. And I've been wanting to make a build with the Ager Scepter for a while, and right now is just like the perfect time. Not only is it a stasis weapon, but it's also a trace rifle, meaning that it can take advantage of the trace rifle mods we have on the artifact to essentially make it even better, especially for some of the endgame content. Another big thing that the Ager Scepter does is that it's very good at slowing and freezing targets. Final blows with this weapon generate a slowing burst around that defeated target, so every time that you kill something, you're just constantly gonna freeze or slow things. If things are very close together and you get multiple, then you're going to freeze a bunch of enemies, and then you can just break them up with your withering blades. And that's basically going to be the main gameplay loop. We freeze a lot of things with the Ager Scepter, and then just blow everything up with our withering blades thanks to the mask. And with all the mods that we have on the artifact, this weapon is going to be able to stun overloads, heal you on every kill, as well as being able to do extra damage whenever we hit something with a stasis debuff. Whether it's a slow or a freeze, we're just going to be doing more damage. So that means that we're basically always going to have more damage on this weapon, and it's going to be a lot more effective than it usually is. And that's without mentioning also the catalyst, which the catalyst is completely optional for this build. You don't really need to have it, but it is a nice thing to have, because whenever you have your super full and you're not using your super, you can instead drain it, overflowing the magazine on your Ager Scepter, giving you extra damage as well as the ability to slow and freeze targets, basically just by shooting at them. You no longer have to get kills when you're in this like empowered state of the Ager Scepter. It is fantastic, and it basically makes this thing into like a heavy weapon while it drains your super. But the Stasis super is pretty good, so this is gonna be something that sometimes you wanna do, sometimes you don't wanna do. And if you don't have the catalyst of the Ager Scepter, then don't worry about that. Like I said, it's just gonna be a nice little bonus on top of it, but it's definitely not required for the build. Now for the subclass that we're on today, we're just regular pure stasis. For your dodge, you want to go with the Gamber's dodge, so every time that you dodge next to an enemy, you get a melee charge, so that's going to add even more ability spam to all the abilities we're going to be doing already. For your grenade, you want to go with the Glacier Grenade. This is going to give us a very easy way of creating some stasis crystals, so we can blow up with our blades. And those destroying crystals are also going to feed into us getting more grenades, so we can just keep throwing them. Now moving on to the aspects, the first one we're going to have is the Winter Shroud. This is going to let us slow targets whenever we dodge next to them, and also whenever we slow some targets, it increases our class ability regeneration, so we can use our class ability a lot more often. And the slow from the dodge itself does count for this, so just by dodging next to somebody, you're going to be getting your dodge back faster. And our second aspect, and the most important one of the two, is going to be Grim Harvest. Whenever we defeat some slow or frozen targets, it creates stasis shards, and while we have Grim Harvest active, picking up any stasis shards gives us Frost Armor. These two are some fantastic abilities for this build, because the Stasis shards are going to give us melee energy, so we can spam our melee a lot more often, and also because we're going to be getting Frost Armor every time we pick up some of those Stasis shards. And whenever we have Frost Armor fully stacked up, it's a 50% damage reduction that does stack with some of the other damage reduction things that we have on this build, so we're actually going to be very tanky once we start getting some of that Frost Armor stacked up. And with the amount of shards that we're going to be making, it means that our uptime on that Frost Armor is going to be huge. Now for the fragments, the first one is going to be the Whisper of Conduction. Nearby Stasis shards track to your position, and it also gives some resilience as well as some intellect. This one's a really good one and more quality of life for the build that just makes it feel a lot better, since you don't have to go out of your way to pick up the shards, all of the shards just gotta come to you. After that, we're going to have Whisper of Hunger. This is going to give you increased melee energy from picking up the Stasis shards. This is going to be fantastic, and the main way that we're actually going to be getting back our melee, just because we get big chunks of melee energy back with all those Stasis shards we're going to be making. After that, we're going to have the Whisper of Rhyme, and this is going to increase our Frost Armor duration from 10 seconds to 15, and also increases our maximum stack count. Normally, 5 is the max amount of Frost Armor you can have, but with this, you'll be able to go all the way to 8 and be able to get that 50% damage reduction. Our next fragment is going to be the Whisper of Shards. Shattering a Stasis Crystal temporarily boosts our grenade recharge rate. And this is going to work with our grenade, and also from those crystals that we make whenever we hit something with our Withering Blade. So we're going to be making lots of crystals, and as long as we keep destroying them, we're basically going to be getting back our grenade really fast. And since our grenade itself makes more crystals, this is something that gives us back the grenade really fast, so you want to basically spam it as much as you can. And the final fragment we're going to have on this build is going to be the Whisper of Chill. Stasis weapon final blows have a chance of creating a Stasis shard. And this just gives us another way of creating Stasis shards, so we can have more of them, so we can have more melees, so then we can have more grenades, and just keep the ability spam going. Now our artifact here is pretty simple. We don't really have any Stasis ones, so we're mostly going to be focusing on the Trace Rifle ones, as well as the ones that give us extra ammo, and some rocket ones. So you want things like Overload Trace Rifle, you want Beam Medic so you can heal whenever you rapidly defeat some targets. This is really good because it heals you and your allies. Elemental Siphons is going to be really good. We're going to be constantly making some of those Stasis shards, so whenever we pick them up, we're going to get bonus super energy so we can spam our super a lot more, or so we can power up our Trace Rifle. Harsh Refaction is going to give you some more damage against things that are slowed or frozen, and with all the abilities we have been throwing out there, this is something that's going to always be active on a lot of enemies. Dreadful Finisher is definitely going to be a must-have every time that you defeat some powerful combatants with a finisher. It guarantees special ammo for you and your teammates, and since this is a special weapon, we basically want to have as much special ammo as we can. Gold from Lettuce is going to be really good. We're really going to try to get a bunch of special ammo, so whenever you pick up special ammo, having a chance of getting some heavy is going to be fantastic. And lastly, for this final column, Limit Break works pretty well. We're always going to be having Frost Armor, so this is always going to be active, allowing our super to do a bit of extra damage. And then the Defibrillating Blast is also going to be another good one, especially if you're trying to take this build into some GMs, since every time you stun a champion, you'll be able to trigger a bolt charge, heal yourself, as well as jolt a bunch of things. This one's just a really good mod no matter what type of build you run. As long as you're going into activity with lots of champions, the Defibrillating Blast is basically always good. And since I went with a rocket, I also went with Perpetual Destruction and Unstoppable Rocket, just so I could have another way of stunning some champions. And lastly, let's take a look at the mods that are in this build. For the helmet, you want to run Special Ammo Scout, Special Ammo Finder, and also Harmonic Siphon, so we can make some more orbs with a Trace Rifle, as well as just be top on Special. For the gauntlets, you want to go with Momentum Transfer, Heavy Handed, and also Impact Induction. So whenever we do some damage with our Power Melee, it reduces our grenade. So whenever we get some kills with our Power Melee, we get some more power. And whenever we do some damage with a grenade, it also gives us some melee energy. For the chest piece, this is going to be pretty normal. You have your resistances and also a harmonic reserves, just so we can carry a little bit more ammo. If you make sure your heavy is also stasis, this works out even better, since it's going to be affecting both your special and also your heavy. For the boots, we're going to be pretty standard with Absolution, Orbs of Restoration, and Recuperation. So every time we pick up some orbs, we heal, and we also reduce the cooldown of our abilities. And lastly, for the class item, we're going to have Reaper to make more orbs, Powerful Attraction so we can actually pick up any orbs that are around whenever we use a class ability, and also Special Finisher. And this is just the failsafe, just if we just cannot find any special ammo for whatever reason, even though we have a lot of things that give us special, this one's gonna guarantee that we get special whenever we finish any enemy. And yes, this does stack with the mod in the artifact, so you finish a yellow bar, you actually get 2 bricks of special instead of just the 1. And with that, that's pretty much gonna be the end of the build, boys. You pretty much have everything you need to know to take this build, and you start freezing and slowing a bunch of targets, while at the same time spamming your melees. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the build, hopefully you guys give it a try. Like always, there's gonna be a dim link in the description and in the comments below, in case you guys do want to try it. And the gameplay for this thing is extremely simple. You get kills with your trace rifle, or throw your grenade into a group of enemies. You just want to get something out there that you can break with your withering blades, whether it's the grenade, or just frozen targets. You throw your withering blade, and then you see everything explode. And you just continue to do that for the rest of the strike. And while you're doing this, you're going to be making tons of stasis shards, which is going to give you a ton of melee energy, as well as a lot of survivability, since you're going to be constantly building up that frost armor. And that's pretty much it. It's a very simple build, but it's also very fun, especially if you like big ad clear builds, or builds that are all about slowing and freezing targets. You're going to love this one. So hopefully you guys enjoy the build, hopefully you guys give it a try. If you guys do end up trying it, make sure you guys come back here and tell me just what you guys thought about it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you all for the support lately, and hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace.